Hey everybody, I'm Wendy at the Broken Needle Quilt Shop in Bunn, North Carolina. Today I'm going to show you that machine applique is not as difficult or as scary as you may think. I have some customers that come in the shop and I talk to them about applique and they're like, oh no, I don't want to do that, it's too difficult. Well, I'm going to show you that it's very easy and we're going to make this little flower step by step. So let's get started. The first thing we need is something that we want to applique. So you can find a picture of your dog, a cat, something off the internet. You don't have to buy a fancy pattern, but you can if you'd like to do that. But the main thing we need is an outline to go by. So the first thing we need is a picture, and I just found this one off the internet and printed it out. I like to use Steam-A-Seam Light. That's what we need to use. You need some kind of fusible in order to put your applique onto your project. The Steam-A-Seam Light will not gum up your needle. You can also cut it to 8.5 by 11 and run it through your printer and actually print this on to the Steam-A-Seam on this side. So also the Steam-A-Seam has grid marks back here. They're 1-inch increments, so you can line it up here to decide how much that you need exactly, and go a little bit outside of your project to accommodate for your fabric. So if you do decide to use something else like heat and bond light, that is not repositionable, meaning if you go to iron it down, then it's going to be permanently in place. With the Steam-A-Seam, we can iron it down. If we put it on backwards or upside down, cockeyed or something like that, then you can actually peel it up and reposition it. So first thing I need to do is turn this over. So this is the side we want to trace on. So that is my flower, or petals of the flower. Now the center, when you're doing a project like this, you need to think about the layers you're going to do. So the petals obviously will be underneath this center. So I'm going to take my next piece, again on the back side, and trace it. You may trace it better. I'm just trying to do it quickly here. One thing I need to mention, if you're doing letters like ABCs and 1, 2, 3s or something, anything that has like a person's face, they're facing left or right, you need to make sure that you do it in reverse. So if I drew the letter E right now, and when I go to flip this around, because this is where our fabric's going to be, our letter E would be backwards. So you need to make sure you do it in the opposite way. So now that I've got it traced on here, I'm going to take my fabric, this is my center, and you peel this first layer of Steam-A-Seam off. You need to get some. You can see that's just a piece of paper we throw away. This is all sticky. So now I'm going to stick it down here and iron it. As that's sitting there cooling off, because it does get hot, I'm going to do my next piece. Oops, this is my background. These are going to be my petals. You could do your petals individually and make them different colors, be artsy with it, but I just wanted to do the whole shape. Helps to have fingernails to peel this stuff off, and I don't have any, barely. Now, I'm glad this happened so that you can see. Sometimes this back side, I've noticed, will want to come off. Well, you don't want that to happen, so try a different area here, because you want to make sure the top piece is coming off. This top, you don't want this side to come off first. And again, I'm going to turn this over. The wrong side, you want to iron the flower in place. Another thing I wanted to show you is this Applique pressing sheet. I've had this for probably 15 years. It does not wear out. One good thing about this is if I was going to iron this and I got some glue, some of that little bit of glue is showing. If it gets stuck on here, then you can iron it on here and then you just peel it off and the glue will come off. So now I'm going to use these Karen K Buckley scissors. They're the best ones, I love them. These are for applique. They have a little serrated edge here and they're easy to get into around the corners, and that serrated edge helps to prevent fraying. So now I just need to cut out my flower. And now I'm going to cut my circle out. So this pressing sheet, you can now put it on the wool mat. And all of this stuff is actually for sale on our website. If you want to check out our website, we have lots of good deals on there too, sales and bargain prices too. So the pressing sheet, you can use this, your printout, as a guide for placement. So you can see through it. I can adjust my applique on here. Try to, if I really needed to, say there was a certain shape that you really want to make sure you get correct. You see how I can try to line it up with one of these petals is fatter than the other. If I really wanted to make sure it's exactly correct in placement, that's why it's good to have the see-through. Let's see if I can figure out how I did it without it sticking. So now it's stuck on here. And then put him in the middle. I'm going to iron it down. Let it cool off for a second. And now I can peel the whole piece off. So if I had my stem and everything, I'd peel all of it off at one time. It'd be one big piece. If I was making an angel, or you had your kitty cat or your puppy dog with a whole face and arms and legs, you could peel the whole, make the whole thing here first, and then stick it to the center of your fabric. Thing I want to show you about being repositionable. So say I want it centered, but I accidentally put it over here. Well, even if I iron it right now, okay, yay. Ooh, I forgot I wanted it centered. Well, I can peel it off and center it. Or kind of center it. But you get the idea. Like I said, with another brand, like the Heat and Bond Light, that is cheaper, but you cannot reposition it. You'll iron it, and if you mess up, then oops, it's gonna be stuck that way. So now, obviously, you would center this better than I just did, but I'm just trying to move this along so you can know how to do it. So, now that I have my piece here, once I have it exactly where I want it to be and I don't need to move it around anymore, that's when you use the steam and steam this permanently in place. Once you put the steam on it, which I'm not putting steam on it right now, but if you were putting steam on it, then it's going to be permanently down in place and it won't move around. And you can use the Steam Seam Light for raw edge applique because it's not going to fray here once you have steamed it in place. So next, I'm going to show you how to sew it down with the blanket stitch. I'm going to be sewing on the Janome Skyline 5, and when you're doing any type of applique, you can use a zigzag foot, satin stitch, a zigzag stitch or a satin stitch, blanket stitch, and blanket stitch is what I'm going to use today. On the machine, our machine here, there's different types of blanket stitches. The R means to the right and the M is in the middle. That's where the needle's going to be starting at. either the middle or the right. So you can also use your regular A foot or closed toe foot. However, it's a little bit easier, or a lot easier I should say, to use an open toe foot because I can see the needle. And when we're going to do our applique, we want the needle to ride right next to our project. And since it's going to be swinging, the needle will be swinging back and forth here. You're going to ride along here and watch the needle. The needle will keep coming back over here to hold this in place. So also to start out, you might want to just take a practice piece. You want to check your stitch length and width to make sure you like the size of it. So just to show you that, I'm going to, it's hard to see here, but there's a little notch here. This is the middle, so it tells me the needle's going to hit over in the middle. So I can use that as my guide. I'm going to sew along. I'm just testing out my stitches right now and see how, you see how it's catching right there, that little notch, and I'm riding along the line, and the needle is swinging over and hitting that. So that's a good way to guide where you're going. So as you can see right now, I can get a little bit faster, but you don't want to do fast. You want to go slower. When I turn this over, you can see how wide or how close together my stitches are. If you're doing a really small project like this little flower, you might want them smaller together or further apart. If you're doing something bigger, then you can obviously come over here and make them bigger. Set it as wide as I want. I was like, I want bigger stitches and I want it a longer length. So that's why I like to practice a little bit first on a scrap piece of fabric and see, just decide how big or wide I want my stitches to be. And I think maybe I'll go down a little bit between here and there. Don't want them too small. If they're too small, your project, if you don't have any stabilization back here, it would scrunch it up like that. So I want to make sure, guesstimate how I want to do it. Anyway, so now I'm going to put him under here. I can start anywhere, but again, like I said, I'm going to use that little tiny notch right there to just guide, even though it looks like, oh no, my needle's over here. Well, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to come out here and then grab some of the fabric over here. You can test it first by rotating with your hand on the hand wheel and say, okay, where is it? Gonna swing out in a second. It's going forward and then it swings out. So now I'm good. You see it is catching the fabric. So, and go very slowly, make sure, especially on curves. And this whole thing is curvy. So we're going to be watching the needle. My needle, I'm going to start and pull it down here. So I'm going to be watching my needle right on the edge of every part that I do. So as it starts to go here in a second, this notch here in the middle, like I said, is going to swing over, and that's where it's going to land. So I'm just going to guide my needle on the very edge of my project. Going slow. And then when it starts to get, you can tell it's going to want to start, we need to start turning it a little bit. So I watch 1, 2, it swung over. So now I need to lift up my presser foot. If you're a little bit fancier machine, which we do sell those too here, your presser foot will go up and down automatically. This particular one, we do need to lift up the presser foot. So, and again, I can tell it's that I need to turn and get 1. I start to count because you can see it go 1, swing, 1, swing, 1, swing. At least that's how I do it. Swing. I can watch the needle. Okay, now I know, since I just counted that, it's about to just go forward. So I got a little bit of room there, I can go forward. Okay, what's the next thing it's gonna do is swing, and since it's gonna swing, it'll come over here. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it, turn my work that is, and the needle should swing over, if I'm correct on my counting. Yes, see? Swing, 1, swing, go forward, swing, forward, swing. And that's how I'm paying attention to that, and I think, oh. So once you get the hang of doing this, which won't take you too long, then you can go you'll get faster. And depending on the stitches you're using too. Now you see how this is coming out pretty, huh? This particular stitch that I'm using, like I said, it's coming forward once and then swinging over and then forward. So other stitches I've used, like a different kind of blanket stitch, I watch the count again because I think in some of them I've done, it's gone like forward twice and then swings over, forward twice and then swings over. So that's the best way I can tell you is how I do it more accurately, is just watching that needle and practicing to see where it's about to land. You can guesstimate it. And once in a while, yeah, I've got off and it's not that big of a mess. It doesn't look bad. Like, oops, I should have done that corner. Well, you know, as long as you're having fun and it's looking pretty good, then you don't need to worry about it. So there, I know it's about to do what? Come forward, swing over again. So I'll let it swing into the corner. There you go. Ta-da! Applique complete.